Oh, there she is. Okay, we are live, so we're ready to call to order the Strategic Planning Committee. Before that, though, I would like to acknowledge this meeting is being held on the traditional territories of the Subasat First Nation. I would also like to remind everyone in the meeting to please unmute their microphones before speaking. For the public, we have two portions of our meetings that are for public participation. They are as follows. We have the verbal comments from the public on subsequent agenda items, and we can accept those questions or comments to general@lakecowichan.ca. So once again, that's general@lakecowichan.ca on comments on subsequent items on this agenda. As well, we also have question period further on down the meeting, and you can call in at 250-749-6681 with your questions, or once again, you can email those questions at general@lakecowichan.ca. We will pause for 3 minutes each time and allow you time to call or email. Questions can also be emailed prior to or following meetings at the same email address. So thank you to the public who are attending our virtual meetings. So with that, I'd like to call the order of the Strategic Planning Committee meeting Tuesday, March 9th, 2021 at 7 p.m. And this meeting will be held virtually as per Ministerial Order M192. Are there any late items to add to this agenda? Councillor Austin?
I'd like to add a discussion on times of meetings, at least the committee meetings, to start at 5 instead of 6. Mostly, well, I can bring that up when we discuss it. I don't know where you'd want that. It's not really new business, but would it be new business?
Just a question to Mr. Fernandez. Has this been brought up before at a meeting? And please unmute, sir.
It's been discussed at meetings outside of, it's not an official function like this. So I think it would be, I know councilors have brought it up to other councilors outside.
Okay. So
we have brought it up at a couple of meetings, I know.
I don't know if we can expect the resolution this evening, but we can put it under new business for a short discussion if councilors are okay with that. New business is number 8. And I have one myself, which requires unanimous consent before we add it to the meeting. So Rosalie Sorry had expressed an interest at coming to one of our meetings, and I thought it might be appropriate if we could squeeze her in at this meeting, because the project already launched on social media and website and everything. So I just thought it might be a good time now to have her give a short introduction of what you're going to see rolling out. I know you've heard some reports from Councillor Austin and myself, but she is a facilitator, so hoping that we can squeeze her in tonight. If not, she can come at a later date. So I'd like to add that to delegations if I could, but that will require a unanimous consent of council, and I'm not sure if we do that at the beginning here.
You would have to do it here with the addition, yes.
Okay, so we'll handle those 2 items separately if we can then. Well, no, we've already added the meeting. So I'll looking for a motion to allow the delegation to appear. Moved by Councillor Austin, second by Councillor McGonigal. Thank you very much. Any more discussion on that? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Motion to accept the agenda as amended.
Was it unanimous, the delegation's request?
Yeah. So the delegation was waiting for approval, so they may not be here right away. Has the invite been sent?
Has been sent.
Okay. So Motion to approve the agenda. All those in favor?
As amended.
Opposed? As amended, yeah. None opposed, motion carried. Thank you very much. Moving on to business, arising unfinished business. I see none. Just dragging my heels a little bit here, folks, just to see if the delegation is able to jump in.
Not yet.
Number 4, are we okay to move along? And come back to this after item 7, if that's okay with everybody.
Yeah, we'll move to the delegation upon her appearance.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, no correspondence takes us to verbal comments from the public on subsequent agenda items. So we'll sit tight till 7:12. That's 3 minutes. Thank you. So those members of the public who want to ask or give a comment on items on this agenda, email
Google
to
account?
general@lakecowichan.ca.
It came on an email on the bottom.
You need to mute. Oh, doo-doo.
Hello?
Rosalie, just want
Oh, there we
to
go.
hang tough for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, it's now 7:12. Mr. Fernandez, are there any questions or comments?
No comment.
No comments. All right, thank you very much. So good to see you can make it, Rosalie. So we're going to move back to delegations now, and it's Rosalie Sorry of Social Planning Cowichan. She is a facilitator for the Moving On Up Cowichan Lake Poverty Reduction Strategy. I should say no more, but she's a fabulous facilitator, and thank you very much for joining us tonight. And I believe there'll be some screen sharings going on with Mr. Fernandez. So I believe you'll have to make Rosalie the host at the appropriate time. So Rosalie, go ahead and introduce. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I appreciate the last minute letting me infiltrate your meeting. Yeah, I'm really excited to be part of the working group that's been guiding the process for the engagement of the public for the poverty reduction plan that we've applied for with you in partnership. So really excited about that. We have kicked things off. And so I just wanted to share a little bit of how the process has been unfolding, and then also the different actions that are coming up. And we also have an event that's scheduled coming up as well. So I will be able to screen share now. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
Great. Great. So this is our fancy logo for our project. We had a really fun discussion as a working group coming up with the logo, and a really great graphic design artist to put it together for us. So I'll just speak to that just for a second if I can. We talked a lot about how poverty does impact people even if they're not living in poverty themselves. And so it really is about community coming together and rising ourselves out of poverty for those who are in it, and giving a hand when you can. But it's not just about giving a hand, it's about really rising out of poverty, not just so that was part of what we discussed as a group. And then of course, in beautiful Lake Cowichan, we have the blue for the river and the lake, and then the mountains with the hands, helping hands, and then the person moving on up out of poverty there. So really excited about that collaborative process that came out with the working group. Just a little bit of background. So we did apply for this grant through the Poverty Reduction Strategy, BC's plan. They had released their Together BC plan provincially, but also what was great is they realized that smaller individual communities and municipalities, regional districts will have their own unique challenges when it comes to poverty. So they allotted $5 million over 3 years for local governments to develop their own poverty reduction plans. And then out of that plan, which is part of Stream 1, Stream 2 is available for up to $50,000 to work towards taking some of the actions that come out of that plan. So we're really excited about that opportunity as well, to continue it once we have a plan established throughout our community engagement. So we have a long list of goals and outcomes here. And basically, to summarize, we'll have a list of actions and solutions formulated into a poverty reduction plan that will come from Cowichan Lake area residents. And then we'll have council, of course, approving the finalized plan before that's submitted back to UBCM and the province. We're really hoping to continue building community through this project, as well as educating around poverty and issues of poverty and what folks are really experiencing when living in poverty locally. And so part of that is just really initiating a discussion, an ongoing discussion within communities, so that we can all be part of those solutions moving forward. We ideally want to be reducing stigma around poverty and discrimination affiliated with poverty, and then relationship building. So I'll get into this in a bit, but we have a few peers that we've been hiring to do some interviews with folks in the community. And so we really are looking forward to them being able to build community relationships, as well as building relationships with our Indigenous and together with our Indigenous and non-Indigenous residents. We also this is a great opportunity to kind of take a look at what services exist and where some gaps are. Organizations in the community can see, we can share the feedback that we're hearing, so they can also make any plans in identifying gaps and opportunities for expanding their services to support the needs of the community. And then, of course, we'll be able to, with your partnership, consider moving on to Stream 2 funds for taking some actions. So in any grant application, they'll always ask you to kind of check the boxes of what areas you're going to focus on. And when it comes to poverty, everything really is so interrelated. So we kind of checked all the boxes, assuming that we'll be hearing about a little bit of everything throughout the community input. So that includes housing, families, children and youth services, education and training, employment, income supports, and social supports. And then some additional factors that we added in, we kind of made some assumptions talking with some folks. And we know that transportation is an issue for many, food security, mental health and addictions, access to healthcare. And then we have this overarching climate change, and we don't know for sure what kind of changes will come and how that will impact us on a level of poverty. So it's really important to kind of have that as an umbrella, understanding that there will be changes coming around with that. And this isn't, unique to Lake Cowichan by any means. This is a regional issue, a global issue. All of these different factors, mental health and addictions is on the rise, as we know. Access to healthcare and all of that is really something that's common throughout many communities. So we started developing a plan of how we were going to move forward, a plan to develop a plan by establishing a working group. So we really reached out to community partners and organizations, groups out in the community that already exist, and asked for, for participation from those groups. So we do have Mayor Bob Day and Councillor Carolyn Austin on our working group, which is great. And then we also have a member from the Cowichan Lake Community Services Society, the Chamber of Commerce, the Food Bank, and then the Lake Cowichan Advisory Planning Commission, which was great. As you have all know, you revamped your OCP. And so a lot of the feedback that you heard there will probably be very applicable to developing this plan as well. So we have some members from there. We have a member from the school district, and we're engaging the schools on our engagement as well, which is exciting. And Island Health, our Cowichan Health Network. And then of course, myself, Sandra, and Ryan from Social Planning Cowichan. So part of developing the plan, as I mentioned, we have our peers that we really wanted to engage folks with lived experience to participate in the project. So we did our training last Friday, actually, for 3 peers so far. We're hoping for 6, and they'll be out interviewing people that they know, whether they're community champions, people who are, one woman was going to be interviewing a principal at one of the schools, and then others will be interviewing, just people that they know in the community who are wanting to dig a little deeper and share more fulsome stories that you won't get from filling out an online survey. So it's a really good opportunity to hear some more specific details from folks who are really living in poverty, as well as not. So in terms of developing the plan, we're continuing with communications. We have a whole communications plan around how to get the word out, to share the website, to engage on social media in a positive way. We even started a TikTok account, so we're going to have a TikTok subcommittee, and joke that probably isn't a cool name, but we're doing it anyway. And so look for that coming up. And then we'll be, of course, online, have print copies and postcards out in the community to spread the word. So we really do want to hear from people, but also share that educational information about the struggles of poverty and how it really impacts the community. So we started with a questionnaire, and that is done online. We were able to actually get that out before the holidays so that we could really reach some of the folks who be receiving the food hampers over the holidays to start there. And then we just launched end of February with the rest of the community. And so we had our website and everything all set up. And so our peers will be doing some of the interviews. We're trying to engage through the working group to reach out to some of the other leaders in the community that they know, and we're calling them community champions, to help spread the word, and also potentially interview folks that they may know as well, who might be able to share some great stories. And then we have print copies available. So we do realize with COVID, it's hard to engage people in person. Obviously, there are protocols in place around the pandemic. And so we really are relying on those relationships out in community for people to reach out and have those one-on-one discussions, whether it's through a Zoom call or on the phone, or people within their own bubbles that they can speak with. So that's really a key piece in engaging those community champions who are willing to take that time to do that. And then also with the help of the peers at our working group. So we do have a virtual presentation and discussion outlined as well. So we have a date for a community conversation on April 14th from 6 to 8 p.m. And that will be a great opportunity to kind of have those smaller group discussions that we can have some of our peers help facilitate, so that we can get, again, those stories and really hear from the public in a more connected way as much as we can during these times. And then we're also available to give presentations to existing groups that are already meeting. So for example, the Chamber of Commerce, we can present there and then have a group discussion around hearing stories and feedback and solutions as well. So and any other groups that we're reaching out to that the working group has identified as potential opportunities. So we're following up with that. And then we're also doing a bit of community research and review of existing plans. Our Cowichan Health Network, Cindy Lise pointed out that there are some older plans that we can take a look at and see what's changed since then. So yeah, there's lots of different opportunities to kind of see where those gaps might be in addressing poverty, especially once we start hearing back from all the community input as well. So we'll put a draft, well, after all of this input, we'll give another week for the questionnaire to be live after our virtual community conversation on April 14th, just in case people hear about the event but missed it and still want to participate. So we'll get those, all those results. We'll take a look at that and identify some of the themes that we see that can go into a summary for a draft plan. And then we'll take that draft plan back out to community just to make sure we didn't miss anything, or people who may not have been heard yet can still give their input and feedback. And the working group also identified wanting to do a community service mapping exercise through that as well. And then also asking the question what success looks like with the plan once we have that draft and the feedback. So we'll be sharing that with you as well. And we'll take all those final edits and then we'll have a finalized plan that we can present to you officially for your approval. And we have the date there. That was an original date of May 14th when we wrote the grant over a year ago. So there are extensions available and we'll probably have to have that conversation at some point. We're doing a plan as well in Ladysmith and we've had to extend that as well, just with processes slowing down with COVID and it taking longer to really engage the community when you aren't able to have those in-person engagements. So that is my presentation for today. And if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
So Rosalie, if you could transfer the hosting back to the CEO, that'd be great. So we can see everybody's faces on the screen.
I don't think I've
Councillor
ever done that
Bomaka?
before.
Done. All right. So councillors, anybody have any questions or comments for Rosalie? Councillor Austin?
I just have a comment, and I've known Rosalie for a while and social planning. I don't know if people in the Valley know what great job the social planning group does, the hard work they do of putting things together and the care they have for the people in our Valley. And that and our Cowichan is another group that Christine and I are involved with that, there's so much going on in our Valley that I think a lot of people don't even know that these people are working so hard and they're really dedicated. And I just want to thank Rosalie. She does a great job getting everything organized and everything together and done. And I just love being on a group like that really gets something done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Anybody else? Councillor McGonigal, please.
I'm going to refer to you as Councillor Salary because you reside
Two different hats.
You reside within the same realm as us, and you know the pressures that we face as members of our community trying to do what's best for our community. And it's nice to see that it's a hands up and not a handout, as the graphic shows. So I look forward to the final outcome of those interviews, etc., and the peer comments. I do note today there was an announcement from the regional district on food security, $750,000 grant to green communities for the hub. So that's interesting news that may support some of your work within that project.
Yeah, that's an exciting project that I know Judy Stafford's been working on for a long time. So really exciting news for the region.
Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you, Rosalie. I just want to let the councillors know this is a pretty cool group to work with. The community services people that come on board and talk to us, the food bank and the advisory planning committee members are really giving a lot of input. So that's always something I like to see is the community itself getting involved, not just a mayor or a councillor, but it's more important to me to hear from the grassroots, people that are handling these issues and the people that are on the streets daily trying to manage some of these issues. So, and thank you, Rosalie. You're a great facilitator, and I look forward to learning more about TikTok. That's an exciting thing. You should have seen us over 30 folks squint when we heard the word TikTok, but there's some young folks on there that say it's a pretty good medium to get messages out. I'm just looking forward to learning how to do that. So it's different than Facebook and other forms of social media. So thank you again, Rosalie. I know you have somewhere to be in
Oh,
2
no
seconds
worries.
here.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So if there's no more questions, we'll say goodnight and see you again soon.
Thank you. Now, I don't know how to transfer the host. I think I'm okay though.
As soon as Joe unmutes, he'll tell you.
Oh, I think if I leave the meeting, it'll ask me. Okay. And then, yeah, here it is. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, so thank you. It's a real positive piece of work for the community. So that means we can move along now to number 7, and that's the CAO report on strategic planning for the town of Lake Cowichan. So I'm assuming you've all read that document the CAO shared with us. So any comments to share to this discussion? Joe, can you unmute please and start again?
Yeah, I was asked to go out and seek the input from my fellow CAOs as to who would be good in terms of having as a consultant for this process. And 3 names were referred to me. I was able to make contact with 2 of them. I ended up having discussions with both. They both appeared quite interested in coming out here, or doing it through virtually, I guess, to do our strategic plan. And as you can see, they both responded with proposals. Alison Hapcook, and the other one is Kevin Ramsey. Well, he's got a company, Innova Strategy Group, and they're both, I think, are equally good. But my preference, based on a number of things, would be to go with Alison Hapcook. She's here locally on the island, and she seems keen to do the process. So it's really, at the end of the day, up to council.
Any questions? Thank you, Councilor McGonigal. Go ahead.
I will make the motion on the recommendation that we consider Alison Hapkirk as a facilitator for the strategic planning sessions with the amount noted above.
Looking for a seconder. Councilor Sandu. Any discussion?
Do I need an addition on the amount, Joseph? In the amount of $3,800 excluding tax and GST.
Very precise. Thank you very much. I've learned in my short mayoral career that one needs to do that in every conversation. So, so I have a comment, if I may, that it appears to me one of the questions, this was just a red flag that came up as I was reading this, that Ms. Hapkirk's proposal here on our letterhead states that what would you like to accomplish at the end of your next term? What do you want citizens to say about in 2022? Now that seems like this proposal sounds to me like it could be a little short-sighted and only 1 year out instead of 5. But I noticed the second Innova, they're looking for obviously thinking about getting a document that looks 5 years out. So I'm just wondering if that could be a reason for the price difference. And I thought we were looking for something longer than a year. So.
No, they're both aware that we're looking for something longer. So I can double check with Alison on this. My understanding with my discussion with her was that she was going to do a longer term plan.
Okay, thank you. All right, any more hands? Councillor Austin.
Yeah, the first 2 under her agenda overview, what do you want your citizens to say about you and what do you want citizens to say you accomplished? Do we really need to answer that question? Like, I mean, that's about us. Isn't this about the town? I just feel this is almost feels like an election thing where I would just say, I don't know. I would, do we need those 2 questions at the beginning? Maybe I'm not reading it
Mr.
right.
Fernandez?
Yeah, well, in my discussions with both parties, I've indicated to them that we had sent out questionnaires dealing with what we were looking for in terms of input. And so they're both aware that that's what we're looking, that's what's coming back. And they both express a willingness to review those. And I think that's where that bid is coming in.
Mhm.
And just so you may know, we had 121 respondents on the forms that we sent out. So, and that will be transferred to the successful facilitator.
So thank you, Councillor Austin and Mr. Fernandez. So I understand your question, Councillor Austin, and that's probably something that you could make that comment when we get to that part of the process and spell it out, and maybe and I think that just might be the methodology of this person. So it's definitely a comment that's probably worth making in the process. And if you're still comfortable with that, we can. And if there's no more hands, Councilor McGonigal.
Just on that note, what do you think citizens are going to say to you about 2022? That would be a synopsis of how we did on our previous strategic plan. So in 2022, within our previous strategic plan, did we accomplish what we said we were going to accomplish? And do the citizens think we did accomplish that? So that's a starting point to move forward into the next strategic plan, in my view.
Yeah, good comments. Thank you. All right, and strategic planning is not a one size fits all, and you can start with a plan, but when the person facilitating starts asking for input, you never know where it's going to go. But she'll try and herd our small group and get out what we have all have in common and what we'd like to see on paper. So, all those in favor of that motion that Councilor McGonigal made? Any opposed? None. Motion carried. Thank you so much. Looking forward to that. And Mr. Fernandez, you did say that potential start dates could be as early as next month. So it could be timely as we work our way to finishing up budget and move on to another thing.
April.
Okay, so we can move on to new business, and we had meeting times. So my starting comments on this would be we do have a meeting calendar set for the rest of this year. So something to consider when we move through this discussion, whether or not we want to change times, or is it something we'd like to look at the end of this year, which really isn't that far away when you think about it. It's been screaming along here at a pace. Sure. So anyways, that's just comments to open the discussion. Councillor Austin.
Well, I was just going to say, we did talk about this before and we decided just to leave everything at 6 o'clock. But now that we're Zooming and everybody's pretty well free at 5 o'clock, it's our staff. We had 2 meetings. The last 2 weeks, we've been meeting till 9:30 at night. Well, even 9:45 one night, I think it was, but I think we just talked on without our staff. But you got to think about the staff too, and they've worked all day long, and then from 8 o'clock in the morning until 9:30 at night. And I just think we need to start thinking about our staff, and I don't see why you couldn't just change everything. I don't know if you need a motion or not to change them to 5 o'clock and just make notices on the website and, make as many notices as possible so people understand. I'm sure they'll get used to it within a month or so. It's not about me, it's about the staff.
Any comments from any more councillors? I will go to Councillor Romaka first and then to Mr. Fernandez.
And I'm okay with a meeting change. It's just I may be late being able to come into Zoom. It may be an issue just with my business closing at 5 o'clock. So just to let everybody aware of that. That's me personally.
Mr. Fernandez.
Yeah, on your committee starting times, there's not an issue. It's a matter of just changing it with a simple council resolution. But in terms of regular meetings, there would be a problem because we had to put out an ad at the beginning of the year, in fact, last year, indicating what times the regular meetings are to be held. And those have been clearly stated that by legislation. We had to follow process. And so if you're looking at changing those times, then we would have a little bit of a problem because you will have to then go out and re-advertise the 2 consecutive papers indicating that you've changed the regular meeting times. On the issue of committee meetings, it's not an issue. You can just do it through our website to make that change and a council resolution.
Thank you, sir. So we'll go to Councillor Sandhu now, please.
So if we just look right now of just adjusting our committee meetings to 5 o'clock and then leaving our regular council meeting to 6 o'clock, because it's just once a month until the end of the year, then there's no cost to advertising and whatnot. My thought.
Yes, Councillor McGonigal, I feel inclined to go to you as well, so go ahead.
I think part of the process of moving to 6 o'clock was pre-pandemic. There was a number of councillors that were within the employment of varying entities that did not arrive back to Lake Cowichan until 5:30 or 6 o'clock. So to facilitate all members meeting at that time in person, they were moved to 6 o'clock. Presently, most of us are not within the employment of our previous employers, and 5 currently would not be a problem. But should there be some normalcy returning at some point where employment would be again part of my daily routine, I would have a problem arriving at 5 p.m. for committee meetings, as I'm sure perhaps Councillor Sandhu would if she does return to work as well. So in temporary portion moving forward, I don't have a problem with a 5 o'clock committee meeting. I'll just eat at 9 o'clock, I bet.
Is that a hint towards the agenda setting committee to not make 4-hour meetings?
I think we're responsible for those.
Yeah. Councillor Austin again, please.
I'd just like to hear again what our staff thinks of that, whether that would be better for them, for us to start at 5 or not. I know finishing at 9:30, 9:45 at night is pretty hard. So it's up to staff as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, if I may, we serve at the pleasure of council. And I think if you move the committee meetings till 5 o'clock and keep the regular meetings to that time of 6 o'clock, for at least, for the short term until things change, that may be okay.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I've always been a fan of later meetings simply to engage more public, but that's when we're meeting in person and to try and allow folks to attend our meetings. But now that we meet virtually and they're archived online on our YouTube channel, that people can go in and watch meetings at their leisure. So, and if there's an issue on an agenda that's important enough to them, they will take the time off. And I know that from all my experience that those who are motivated to be a part of an issue and part of a resolution will show up at meetings. So I'm okay with moving to 5 for our committees as well and 6 for regular council. So anybody out there going to make a motion? Councillor Sandhu. To move the regular committee meetings
To 5 p.m. And our regular council meeting will be at 6 p.m.
Thank
However you want to make that motion.
And I'll second.
I think the wording was clear enough, Mr. Fernandez.
Yes, indeed.
Seconded by Councillor Austin. Any further discussion there? Councillor McGonigal.
Just taking into account that this may be temporary, so if things do change, we will have to readdress at that time should, a number of us not be available to the 5 o'clock start.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, everybody.
I just
Mr.
wondered
Fernandez.
I wonder if that should be part of the motion. Otherwise it would be all changed to 5 o'clock. So if you keep it flexible, that would be kind of nice.
Yeah, an amendment.
Okay. I
like
feel
a
better.
trial? sorry.
No,
I could
just
feel
keep-
better if Council McGonigal made that sentence a little smoother for us, please. Are you able to do that, sir?
But at the pleasure of the mover and the seconder, the committee meetings be moved to 5 PM temporarily, and council meetings
Regular.
to 6 PM, or regular council meetings to 6 PM to be reviewed as needed.
Right. That's good.
Sounds great. Thank you. Okay with the mover and seconder?
Mhm.
All right, awesome. Any further discussion? All those in favor? I see all the hands. That's unanimous. So thank
Are
you
you
very
in
much.
favor, Joe?
Yeah, no, I'm just not voting. I'm just gonna ask, is this starting next week?
Ah, there we
Let's
go.
start in April.
In April, okay.
Yeah,
Start next week. Come on.
good question, Mr. Fernandez. You should run for office next time.
No, he's retiring.
So April then, correct?
You want to
Yep.
wait till April? Okay.
I'm hearing April. I could say it if you want, but right now I'm just hearing it.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. And that is put to bed for now, temporarily. All right. So moving on to number 9, notices of motion. Anybody? All right. Public relations. Anyone? Boy, it sure is boring without events. So,
We do.
Councillor Austin.
We do. I have one this Thursday, and I think Councillor Sandu had one last Thursday with our Cowichan. We can report on that, I guess, afterwards. How did that go last Thursday? Councillor,
I took notes. It was a lot of information. A lot of information we've already had, but I took notes on it, so.
it'll be interesting. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, so you'll report out on that at regular council then, I guess. Thank you. All right. No other public relations items. Then we'll move to question period where we'll pause for 3 minutes after I give the little spiel here. You can email your questions to general@lakecowichan.ca. That's general@lakecowichan.ca. Or you could phone in your questions on items on this agenda to 250-749-6681. 250-749-6681. See you all back here at 7:49.
What happened to the Jeopardy? Sorry, I had to do it. I'm taping Jeopardy right now. That's good. I have a question.
Fire away, call it in.
Well, we received something from Kara. Were we going to put that over to Public Works?
Yeah, it didn't really apply to this, but we'll,
Okay.
and I will send her a response too.
Oh, okay, because I don't want her to think we've forgotten her.
Yeah.
I do have BioVader information somewhere, but I can't find it now.
Okay, just waiting for Councillor Vomaka to come back. All right. Mr. Fernandez, were there any questions for this meeting?
No questions for this meeting.
No telephone calls, no emails.
None.
All right. I guess for this evening, everybody's happy. So we can move on then to in camera, which we have none. And number 13 is adjournment. Looking for that motion. Moved by Councillor Sandu. Seconded by Councillor Vomaka. Thank you very much. All those in favor? Opposed, motion's carried. Thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you all soon. For sure next week for Public Works and Parks and Recreation and Culture.
Thursday, actually.
Oh, Thursday for budget too, yeah. Oh, I wouldn't have forgot that. That's the fun night.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, good
Starting
night.
at 5:30. All right, see you guys.
Good night.